Good morning, SLOconf. It's day 3. Um, how do we ask questions? Danny just asked as a question. So yes, you can use the Q&A system to ask questions. All right. Hey, everybody. SLOconf day 3. I'm Kip Merker. I'll be your host today, as always, for the daily stand-up. I hope everybody's having a great time. I know I am, and I'm just super excited that we're still at it, learning about SLOs and learning about reliability. We have a really special stand-up today because we'll be having a OpenSLO Q&A. So I'll, as always, welcome everybody back for day 3. There might be some new faces here. I'm going to make sure you know how to SLOconf, and then we'll get into the Q&A panel today. Think about if you have any questions about OpenSLO for the contributors. We'll take them. I also have some questions prepared that I'm curious about, so we'll go from there, and then we can get back to the conference. Just to remind everybody, this event is a self-directed event. I know it takes a little getting used to. But you get to really do it on your own pace. And I've seen that people have been able to sneak in a couple of talks between their meetings or while they're waiting for other things to happen. There's just tons of content to go and consume. And we launched yesterday the hands-on labs as well. So I hope you can check those out. Make sure you get a chance to do that. So we got one today and tomorrow left. We'll have our goodbye at this time tomorrow. It'll be sad to see you all go, but I'm sure we'll now be friends for the foreseeable future. Make sure you get into the Slack. Make sure that's where all the action's happening. Make sure you get into the talks page, sloconf.com/talks. The Slack, we have 130 channels. There's track channels where you can talk about the different videos, questions, that you might have, comments for the speakers. The speakers have been really active in those, and my dog's barking, sorry about that. The speakers have been super active there, responding to questions. Lots of really cool discussion going on. Plus, a lot of other stuff you can do just for fun. Local channels, pet channels. Also, remember to check out the sponsor channels. That's a great place to go and chat with people that help make this event happen. And you can ask them, why are SLOs relevant for their company, and chat with them as well. You don't leave them lonely in their sponsor Slack channels. Okay. I went and looked on, actually I had Urzo go look on YouTube stats and try to get the numbers. This up and to the right chart as per usual. It's kind of shocking to me. When we pulled the stats last night, it was at 211. I pulled them again this morning real quick, 375. I wanted to share this with everybody because we broke the YouTube growth number here, greater than 999. Got 3 nines of growth there on the compared to previous 7 days. So as a collective, we've watched 375 hours of video about this event. So amazing stuff. 2,300 people have registered. We now from 750 companies. Still mostly technical people here. So great chance to network, great chance to learn from each other, great place to look for job opportunities. Lots of great stuff happening still. So keep at it and keep building those relationships and learning about SLOs. As always, I'm pointing out 4 talks. If you don't know where to go to get started, here's 4 talks that you should go check out from each of the different tracks. Really great stuff. And so especially, I know the Masania's talk came in, is kind of got dropped late, which is even cooler. We have more content coming in even as the event's unfolding. So definitely check her out. Check out the rest of these talks. Okay, cool. All right, I have something really special today, which is a Q&A panel with the OpenSLO contributors. Wait a second. Niall. Okay, I don't know if everybody... Okay, I'm just joking around. No, we had Ian listed as Niall yesterday, so we wanted to play around with that a little bit. No, it's not all about Niall. We have some great folks here that are going to talk about OpenSLO. We announced this yesterday. I know everybody wants to learn more about it, so we're going to shift over to Q&A time. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. If all the panelists, if you go ahead and turn your cameras on. All right, welcome everybody. Cool. We got you all, and then I have a doc somewhere with my questions in it that is on a different monitor. Here we go. Okay, excellent. All right, so just like to kick things off here, I'll start with Niall and I'm talking about the real Niall. I'll start with Niall here. Can you tell us exactly what is OpenSLO and why is it important?
Hello and welcome to NileConf. So OpenSLO is 2 things. It's a specification and it's a tool. Both of them are useful in in different ways. Obviously, the tool relies on the specification. We might get into some of the details of the tool a little bit later on, but the specification is really the core thing, because what it does is it's just a community agreed way to standardize on how we're going to specify these complicated things called SLOs. I mean, hopefully sometimes they're simple as well, but arbitrarily speaking, we don't want differentiation across the industry for no reason at all, like for no arbitrary reason. We would like to have a consolidated way of expressing what it is we want from the various tools and systems that are out there. So it's a straight up community effort.
Well, as you mentioned, we're going to get into a little bit more of the details of the project. So, Ian, I want to ask you about OSLO. What is OSLO? You created that, right? Can you tell us what it is, how you built it?
Yeah, so OSLO is a command line tool. Currently, it's for validating your OpenSLO configuration files. You feed it your configuration files, it'll tell you if it's valid and comparing that against the spec. Our hope with that is to kind of expand what that validation means. Like right now, we're doing kind of static analysis on the YAML file. But our hope is to maybe do some more dynamic validation of like the values that are passed in. Like I said, right now it's just more of a static analysis of like the structure of the YAML file, but you know, we could see in the future like validating that the values that are getting passed in make sense, dependencies are met. You know, like if one stanza is in place, does it make sense then to have another, or things like that. Right now, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, keep going, Ian.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, it's a CLI tool written in Go currently. And again, we're going to be moving that to be able to install via Brew for OS X and different means in the future.
And Andrew, you already implemented and built SLOs internally at GitLab, right? So I'm kind of curious, you know, since that probably works pretty well for you, why are you even interested in OpenSLO? How are you thinking about this project?
So there's several reasons. The first is that one of the things that I've really wanted to do for a while is take what we've built for GitLab.com and roll it out to other self-managed GitLab instances. And at the moment, we ship alerts, sort of a random bunch of alerts with the self-managed instances, but they're not SLO alerts or SLO based. And I think that we could do a much better experience there, especially for the people running those instances. And we'd already started thinking about this and how we were going to define that. We need to take what we've done and abstract it and make it more general. And so we were already starting to think about how we could specify this. And around about that time, I heard about OpenSLO, and of course, I was super excited about it. And then the second reason, which is really important, is that after we've got GitLab operators or self-managed operators running OpenSLO, the next thing is I really want GitLab customers who building their products with, you know, on top of GitLab to start using SLOs. And I think what we really need for that is an ecosystem. And what we need for an ecosystem is tooling and a really good spec. And so I'm really excited about it for that. And then the third reason is a little bit more selfish. And that's that we don't have fantastic documentation for what we've built. And if we build something on top of a spec, then, you know, there'll be good documentation out there. There'll be conference talks. And we might even be able to hire people who've already got experience with OpenSLO. So I'm really excited about this.
One of the points you made there, Andrew, was about kind of the ecosystem and interoperability. I actually want to ask Alex Nauta about this. So Alex is our CTO at Noble9. How do you, Alex, envision OpenSLO enabling collaboration across vendors? How do you think the end users will benefit? How do you think the ecosystem will kind of develop around this?
So my hope is that this will lead to, let me call it templating. SLOs are not in a vacuum. It's already in a very integrated endeavor to take a measurement of your reliability. And ultimately what we're measuring is a bunch of different things: open source, commercial products, custom applications, usually built on some kind of a framework. And my hope is that in addition to having, let's say, metrics exporters and integrations with popular APM tools, et cetera, that those tools, whether they're open source or commercial, could come with a starter SLO. We can turn the knobs, set the target, change the threshold to our needs. In other words, like for example, show me, if I'm using Kafka, how to measure an end-to-end latency of something that's happening in Kafka, but anywhere across any part of the stack. As for how users would benefit, I think users would benefit from that additional ease of integration across all the vendors in the ecosystem. But in addition, I think they'll benefit from reduced lock-in, things like ability to have skills transference, as Andrew mentions, even being able to hire people who already have experience with it. Let's build up that common ecosystem so that all of the customers of all the vendors can work better together.
Yeah, very cool. So Henrik, I want to ask you maybe a rude question, but you already have kind of a, I'll say, quote unquote, competing standard in Captain of a SLO YAML format. And I know you and your team are all getting involved in OpenSLO. I'm really curious to hear how you envision this going together. Is this how will it evolve to have these different standards that are already working in open source projects come together on OpenSLO?
It's an excellent question, to be honest, because we started to build the notion of SLO, SLI, and the notion of quality gate several years ago. And a couple of our users from the community are using it heavily. So I think a standard is really important because it's the only way to have more user implementing SLO within their organizations. So if you have one tool having one standard and then you have another open source or commercial tool that have another standard, then for the practitioners, the users, it's complicated to transitioning easily to one product or the other. So I think this standard is a great news. But I think we have to all understand all the use cases of the users. I think from a Captain perspective, we have a lot of users that apply SLO on production environment, of course, but also non-product environment. I'm referring to performance engineering, where they have adopted very quickly the SLO approach because it was the smartest way of have automated analysis when you run your test in a pipeline and you don't want to have to ask your experts to come and block the delivery during 2 hours just to do the analysis. Having something that do the magic for you, this is what people are looking for, and SLO is just a wonderful approach to do that. So I think we should understand the use case of everyone and make sure that our standard is covering everything.
Very cool. Very cool. I love that. Niall, I want to bring it back to you for a second because I know that you've recently kind of struck out on your own and you're helping organizations adopt SLO and SRE, which I know is a really exciting journey. How do you think, especially as you're kind of working with organizations that are maybe looking to adopt these practices, how do you think OpenSLO will play into that, or will it?
So I think there's two things here. The first one, Alex has already touched on a bunch of the positive effects we'd see from a standardized ecosystem or roughly standardized ecosystem. And I think all of them are true and it will be useful. But the second piece I want to hone in on is this idea of the tool and kind of real-time validation, which we're not quite there yet. We don't have all of the pieces, right? But one of the things that I've come across is that if you have a sufficiently large organization, and these days it doesn't actually have to be that large, it could be relatively small, but if you've got a sufficiently large organization with a sufficiently large collection of services, you have to make decisions about how those services interoperate, what their degree of prioritization is. Dare I say, you have to decide on SLOs for them, et cetera, et cetera. A tool and a specification like this, but in particular a tool, admits of a kind of a scorecard approach that you tend to see a lot in enterprises or other kind of organizations, where you build the big dashboard or the spreadsheet and these services are green and these services are orange and these services are red. And that kind of approach, which is very common in certain environments, is actually enabled by the tooling and the overall approach of attempting to roll out the same standardized approach across a bunch of different things.
Very cool. Very cool. Ian, I want you to play a little game with me here. for a second, throw out everything you know about OpenSLO and imagine that you're not involved in the project. Okay, you're just lowly SRE on the team carrying the pager. If you came in, if you weren't one of the people writing it or working on it, what benefit would you see as an SRE, and why would you adopt it, or what would your skepticism be about it? What would you expect from the project?
I think primarily what I would want and what I would expect is kind of what Alex and Niall had both kind of touched on, which is a lot of like the knowledge transfer. If I'm coming into like a project and it's an open standard, it's a known format, it's something that I would probably have experience with already, regardless of which vendor or implementation I've had experience with previously. I can come into that project and not have to have the harsh ramp up of learning a whole new kind of DSL or something to be effective in my position. And I think that that's one of the big powers with it. Having that sort of that sort of knowledge transfer is one of the goals I think that we have for this. The second part is also with the team too, other people coming on. We don't have to have them ramp up to our particular implementation, regardless of what that is. They can come in and be effective because ultimately we want teams to kind of be able to support these things. And so with having that standard and having that so having that standard in place really helps teams adopt that and support it on their own.
I want to ask a question, and for the audience, please do throw some Q&As in here. I got a couple questions here, but I want to kind of ask around the group here. But if you have more questions, please go ahead and add them. I wanted to ask kind of everybody in the panel here. We'll go around here. What feedback have you heard since we announced it? And I want to start with Henrik. What feedback have you heard since we launched the project yesterday? Good, bad, or ugly?
I think the community respond very positively. I think from the moment you try to build a standard that will be beneficial for the community, I mean, I don't see someone be negative on that. So I think it's a great announcement, and it's great for all the SREs that are listening today and for their work of tomorrow. So I think that's awesome.
Alex Nauta.
One of the types of feedback that I'm seeing is detailed level feedback on, hey, we need some more flexibility here, or we need to change this a little. And I think that's great. I'm looking forward to seeing how, we have one, as an owner of one of the ways of using this style of, schema to define an SLO. I'm really interested in finding the other ones and making sure that even if the tool that I'm working on doesn't support that we support all the different use cases. And I find it, it kind of validates the approach of like, if we're getting detail level feedback, I think it shows that it could be viable.
Ian?
Yeah, kind of to put a finer point on what Alex is saying, I think that detail level feedback is great because it kind of, and that's one thing I've seen a lot of, and a lot of kind of use case examples. And I think that's one of the things we're really hoping for with this is, well, this is my use case. Here's something maybe we haven't thought of or considered. And I think that only helps to like kind of strengthen the specification and the tooling. The other part of the engagement that I've seen and kind of a lot of the feedback I've been seeing have been really positive pull requests. Already, like in the last day, I've had, I think we're up to 7 or 8 pull requests total, which is amazing. It's great, And there's a lot of positive feedback around documentation, some tooling, some CI work. And so that's the kind of engagement that I've been seeing within the community, and it's all really encouraging.
Niall?
Yeah, so I have a wide array of positive feedback, both kind of individually and on social media posts, etc. The one piece of negative feedback was that, like, actually the standardization is solving a problem that we don't really have. So this is kind of in advance of the problem it's trying to solve. To which I suppose I would remark, in general, by the time you get to a situation where it's clear standardized things are causing a problem, you wish you would have done the standardization a while ago. But I think the other point is that people are welcoming the tool. They really want to have something in the CI/CD system that goes, this is a problem, and like kicks off some reaction to that. So, yep,
Thanks, Al. And Andrew.
I think I've received a huge amount of really enthusiastic feedback, and I've seen a lot on Twitter, and I've been really surprised at how many people have joined the Slack channel, the Slack group already, which is really exciting and positive, and some really fantastic feedback in there. And then individually, I've just had a lot of people reach out to me and say, oh, we've been building this ourselves. I did a talk a few weeks ago, and people also reached out to me then, and I was kind of biting my tongue not to tell them about this. But they were saying, we've been building similar tooling, and it would be really great if there was something like, more open source products around this, or more standards. And I just had to kind of bite my tongue a bit, and a lot of those people have got in touch with me and said, yeah, this is really exciting. So I think it is very exciting.
Well, it leads me to another question for you, Andrew. If you, especially since you've already built something kind of similar, if you were building this from scratch today, the internal SLO infrastructure inside of GitLab, and let's say OpenSLO is already a thing, already somewhat mature, OSLO is already there, how do you think it would have influenced your design decisions, and how do you think that would have changed the way that project unfolded for you internally?
So I think, first of all, we would have saved a huge amount of time, because we started off on this journey and it was very organic. We sort of moved around, we iterated a lot. We made, decisions that we later decided were the wrong way to go. We started this journey before really the SRE workbook existed, and obviously before the SLO book existed as well. And we were kind of iterating, and, we made some good decisions, and we made some decisions that we decided later weren't as good. And we learned a lot of lessons along the way, which is good, but also we would have saved a huge amount of time if that had all been there up front. And then I think also just kind of from the ease of selling it to the business and selling it to SREs and selling it to everyone, it'll just be so much easier to say, like, we're going to adopt the standard and this is what we're going to go along with, rather than, at the time it was much more of a, like, our monitoring's not working, we've got to figure out a better way of doing this. And so buy-in was harder to get from people. And then I think the last bit is really around terminology. So while we were iterating on this, we were inventing a lot of the terms ourselves, and a lot of those terms were kind of different from the lexicon that's now become like the industry standard. And so we were saying, oh, we're calling it this, and then, oh wait, I've just read the SLO book, and let's rather call it this. And so it's definitely going to be better.
So we got one question I want to. So we got one question from the audience here I want to put out there. I think maybe I'll pass this one to Alex now to answer first. So Matthias asks, I was wondering how fixed the structure already is. Is it already used somewhere, aka dogfooding? And maybe now you can talk about the work we've done on Noble 9 and how that led to the project.
Yeah, sure. So when we put the schema down at first, we started with something highly inspired by what we have in Noble 9, but I can tell you that we already have a gap there. A couple things made it in there based on initial feedback from this group and others that were involved early on. Also, we had a wish list, and we wanted to make sure that we make OpenSLO as good as it can be. And so we didn't want to be weighed down by any of our, the baggage we already have. So I would say, though, that right now it's pretty fluid. If you have suggestions, if you have needs, if you can foresee something that we need to add or change in there, let's talk about it. Get into that OpenSLO Slack instance. Even submit us a pull request if it's already thinking that's that mature. Let's talk it through, because like I said, we really want to make sure that it handles all the valid use cases of SLOs.
Awesome. And then, well, I think we're just about out of time for the panel. So I want to thank everyone for your time. And I'll ask Ian this, because I think Ian was the one who created the website. So where do people go, and how do they see OpenSLO and OSLO in action?
If you want to go to OpenSLO.com, that is our landing page. It has a lot of information there. It also has links to the GitHub pages. Right now, we link to the main spec, which is OSLO, and then the command line tool, OSLO, are both linked on there, with links also to our contributing docs to show you how you can help contribute via the GitHub project.
And don't forget the demo video too, which is super
Oh, yes.
cool. So,
and the demo is also linked on OpenSLO.com.
All right, everybody, let's give our panelists a quick round of applause. Thank you so much. All right. Go ahead and turn your cameras off now. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. All right, great. That was awesome. Okay, so I want to go on with the rest of the stand-up agenda real quick. Just a few more things. The labs are open as of yesterday, and they're super cool. Go to SLOconf.com/labs, and they're also at 10 a.m. Pacific, I believe. In about half an hour, there'll be a live lab with Lightstep, and you can learn about that in the Slack General. I'm sure we'll post about it and tell you how to get involved in that. I think it'll be at the exact same Zoom link we're on now, so come back and enjoy that. And then the rest of them, there's videos and also hands-on activities you can do for each of these companies. And I believe there's one for Honeycomb too that I forgot to update the slides. So check that out, SLOconf.com/labs. The team is here to help you. I think you know us all by now. We are behind the scenes and in front of the scenes in some cases. Please reach out. These are our Slack handles. We can help you resolve your issues, or if you have any questions or concerns, we're here to help with all of those things. And I want to thank our sponsors again, as I do every day. Thank you for helping us make this possible. This is our top level Let's Slow sponsors. Without their financial support, we couldn't have done this event. Really just an amazing group of companies coming together to help make the industry more aware of SLOs and how it all works. So thank you to these companies. And then our broader set of sponsors, the Slow Steady and Slow Burn sponsors, also amazing contributions in terms of financial support, speaking, promotion, everything else. So really amazing to have these great companies supporting the event. Please do me a favor and go say hi in the sponsor channel and just at least say thank you, because all these companies did come together to make sure that this event was successful, that you could learn everything that you get to learn while you're here and connect with all your new SLO friends. Media sponsors, I think I shared a link to. We have some videos going on TFR, and then DevOps.com did an article yesterday on OpenSLO. The Newsstack did an article on OpenSLO. Go check them out. They're covering the event and providing some broader awareness of what we all have going on here in the SLO conference. Quick reminder: next Wednesday, the 26th, we'll have Dr. J and Jeremy Tinley speaking at the meetup. So the SLOconf Fun will continue in a monthly format. Really great speakers, super experienced. Definitely want to register and check that out if you get a chance. And that's it. Let's get back to the conference. I know there's lots more videos for you to watch on your own time. I know there's more questions you want to ask in the tracks. I know you want to go talk to the OpenSLO team. So let's get back to it, and we'll see you here tomorrow for the goodbye. Thanks, everybody.